Yashodanandana Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good morning.
We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87, entitled The Prayers of the Personified Vedas. And we're reading texts 10 through 13. So I'll read the English of the first few verses leading to text 13 because that has the purport, and then we can read the Sanskrit there in purport. Is that okay, purport? At that time, you happened to be visiting the Lord on Sveta Dvip. That Supreme Lord in whom the Vedas lie down to rest during the period of universal annihilation. A lively discussion arose among the sages on Janaloka as to the nature of the supreme absolute truth. Indeed, the same question arose then that you are asking me now. It's text 10, this is text 11. Although these sages were all equally qualified in terms of Vedic study and austerity, and although they all saw friends, enemies, and neutral parties equally, they chose one of their number to be the speaker, and the rest became eager listeners. Then text 12 and 13 are together, so we'll read the Sanskrit here. Shri Sananda Uvacha Svasristam Itamapiya Shayanam Saha Shaktibihi Kadante Bodayam Chakrus Talingai Shuddhaya Param Yatha Shayanam Samrajam Bandidas Tat Parakramai Pratyushe Betyasu Shlokair Bodayantanu Jivanaha. Do the word for word together. Shri Sanandanaha. Shri Sanandana, the exalted mind-born son of Brahma, who is chosen to reply to the sage's inquiry. Uvacha said, Swa, by himself. Srishtam, created. Idam, this universe. Apya, having withdrawn. Shayanam, lying asleep. Saha, with. Shaktibihi, his energies. Tat, of that period of universal dissolution. Ante, at the end. Odayam, Chakru, they awakened him. Tat, his. Lingai, with descriptions of his characteristics. Shuddhayaha, the Vedas. Param, the Supreme. Yata, just as. Shayanam, sleeping. Samrajam, a king. Bandinaha, his court poets. Tat, his. Parakramai, with recitations of the heroic deeds. Pratyushe, at dawn. Abetya, approaching him. Sushlokai, poetic. Odayanti, they awaken. Anujivanaha, his servants. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Sanandana replied, after the Supreme Lord withdrew the universe he had previously created, he lay for some time as if asleep, and all his energies rested dormant within him. When the time came for the next creation, the personified Vedas awakened him by chanting his glories, just as the poets serving a king approach him at dawn and awaken him by reciting his heroic deeds. Purport. At the time of creation, the Vedas are the first emanation from the breathing of Lord Mahavishnu, and in personified form they serve him by waking him from his mystic sleep. This statement made by Sanandana implies that Sanak and the other sages had asked him the same question that Narada had asked Narayan Rishi and Maharaj Parikshit had asked Shukadeva Goswami. Sanandana refers the question back to the example of the personified Vedas themselves in their address to Lord Mahavishnu. Even though the Vedas knew that the Lord, being omniscient, does not need to be informed of his glories, they enthusiastically took this opportunity to praise him. Om Akyantimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So beg for the blessings. Adi Purush Prabhu, ask for your blessings. Arjuna Prabhu, ask for your blessings. May we speak sincerely and correctly. May our words and our consciousness be aligned with Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara. May Shishi Radha, Mulidhar, Shri Gaura Chandra be pleased by the devotees coming together, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. May all the devotees assembled, listening, be benefited by the power and grace of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Again, this is 10th canto, chapter 87, the prayers of the personified Vedas. Just read these verses again, text 12 and 13. Sri Sanandana replied, after the Supreme Lord withdrew the universe he had previously created, he lay for some time as if asleep, and all his energies rested dormant within him. When the time came for the next creation, the personified Vedas awakened him by chanting his glories, just as the poets serving the king approach him at dawn and awaken him by reciting his heroic deeds. This chapter opened with a question by Maharaj Parikshit, and Shukadev Goswami gave a one-verse answer. So one question, one verse. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one question and one verse in itself is an entire Upanishad. It's a complete Upanishad. It's called the Brahma Upanishad. So the Upanishads have to do with the most fundamental questions and answers. Usually they're in that format of questions and answers. It said that if one belongs to a school of Vedanta, as we do, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, then one should also have knowledge of the Upanishads. They have three. This is called Prasthana Trayi, the triple basis of the foundation of knowledge for those who are in schools of Vedanta. It's the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. And the Vedanta Sutra really is just it's the Upanishad, but it's systematized. Everywhere there's quotes from the Upanishads.
Oh, does he have different?
So we don't necessarily have to, study the Vedanta Sutra. If we have that inclination, it's very good. It's very powerful. But our way of studying Vedanta Sutra is studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's a commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. It's the Vedanta Sutra, but it's rasamalayam. It's just full of rasa. I heard a nice verse recently about the Srimad Bhagavatam, a verse that glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Veda Puranam Kavyam Cha Prabhor Mitram Priyeva Cha Bodhayantitihi Prabhu Strivrit Bhagavatam Punaha. This is nice. This verse says, the Vedas, they instruct you like a master. Prabhu. They say, do this, don't do this. It's very direct and straight. The Puranas, they instruct you like a friend. Because if you go to your friend and ask for advice, they may not just instruct you, but they may tell a story of some other person who had a similar situation, and that way you can learn what to do, what not to do. And then there's also the Kavya Shastra, the poetry. And poetry instructs like a lover. And it says the Srimad Bhagavatam instructs in all three ways. It gives direct instruction, direct teaching. It tells stories. And also there's beautiful poetry. We're just reading the 10th canto, all the beautiful poetry, Vrindavan, So in all three ways, Srimad Bhagavatam instructs. Therefore, it's the supreme Shastra. So Vedanta Sutra is very logical, very philosophical. Bhagavatam is the Vedanta Sutra. You get the same thing, but you get the poetry, you get the beautiful poetry, you get the philosophy, you get stories. In this way, it's totally complete. So our study is complete with the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. In this way, we align ourselves with the tradition of Vedanta. Prabhupada was given this title also, Bhakti Vedanta. Prabhupada's sannyas guru, Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj. He gave sannyas to many people, and he always gave Vedanta in the title, Bhakti Vedanta, because he also wanted to emphasize the importance of being connected to Vedanta Sutra, but for us is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhakti Vedanta, his other disciple, of course, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Maharaj, also got that title from him as a sannyas guru. So this particular Upanishad, 2-verse Upanishad, is about the nature of the revelation of the Veda, the Vedic sound. So the question, just to refer back so we can see the context here. What was the original question by Parikshit? He says, Katam charanti shutaya. How can the Vedas describe sat asataha pare, that which is beyond both matter and the subtle cause of matter? How can the Vedas describe, how can words describe what is indescribable? Brahman is said to be nirgune, without qualities, without material qualities. Anirdeshye. It's indescribable, and yet people are speaking it. And also, how does one receive it? How is it spoken? How is it received? So the answer is a very interesting answer by Shukadeva Goswami. And it seems like this doesn't feel like a direct answer, but the Acharyas have explained what it means, and it's really wonderful. So we heard the question. The answer is, he says, Prabhu, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Master, Asrajat, creates the intelligence, buddhi, the indriya, the senses, the mind, the prana. Seems like a strange response at first. You know, how did the Vedas describe what is indescribable? Well, the Supreme Lord creates intelligence, mind, senses, prana. That's the first part. And then he says, the next part, he says, for what purpose does he create all these things? For 3 purposes. Why do we have a mind? Why do we have senses? Why do we have this intelligence? 3 purposes. Matrartam means to taste the sense objects. That's one purpose. You know, all the senses. We have the sense of hearing. We can hear things that we like. We have a tongue. It can taste nice things. So such a variety that's been arranged of fruits and vegetables. It's meant for the tongue. You have that tongue for that purpose. I remember Adi Purush Prabhu. Remember we used to get these donations from Trader Joe's, and I was observing Adi Purush Prabhu one day when he sees Krishna and everything and the wonders of Krishna and everything. So he was looking at this broccoli and just look at this broccoli. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. Krishna has created it. Just the green and the way it flowers at the top. Seeing Krishna's energies, seeing the vegetables as beautiful. But the senses can perceive these things. That's why you have senses. So that's one reason why you have senses. For some people, this is the only reason they have senses, is just to enjoy the sense objects. So another reason we have senses, mind, intelligence is bhavartam. Bhava means like existence, or it actually refers to reincarnation. You have senses and a mind also so that you can improve your next birth. You can go to the heavens even. You can go to a beautiful place And really this is the same as the first one, because it's still about sense objects and getting some good benefit for yourself, but it's on a higher level. So matrartha means to taste sense objects. Bhavartam means to elevate yourself. And then you have the senses, mind, intelligence for the supreme purpose, atmane kalpanayacha, to become liberated. Or also it's described, atma here can refer to the Supreme Lord, and kalpana can mean worship. So it's also meaning bhakti. You have senses, you have mind, you have intelligence to perform bhakti. So what Shukadeva Goswami is saying with this answer is that your senses, your mind, your intelligence were also designed for spiritual advancement. They were designed for the taste the sense objects, that's one thing. But they were also made in such a way that hearing, you can speak transcendental sound. The Vedas can give, with their words and their language, they can give you a transcendental experience, and it can be received by you because your senses were made for that. Your intelligence is made for that. So he's saying that the Supreme Lord, Prabhu, has created all these things for three purposes. And one of the purposes is that by hearing, even though it seems that, I'm just hearing material sound vibration, but no, it can be spiritual when it comes from the right source. Your senses can also catch it and be affected. Your mind, it can get into your mind. It can get into your intelligence and transform you. So that was his one verse answer. And then he refers back how this question was asked long ago and was discussed in different ways. So whether a material, even to describe a material thing, we need the Lord's mercy, right? It's the Lord. This is saying the Lord gave you those senses. The sense, how can you describe a rose if you don't have sight, the power of seeing? If you don't have touch, the power of touching, the power of feeling. How can you describe a rose if you can't smell? And if someone says, now tell me about a rose, and you can't see, you can't smell, you can't say anything. So even to describe a rose, what to speak of Brahman, even to describe a rose, you need the will, the power of the Lord to give you senses, mind, intelligence. And in the same way, the Lord can transform your senses, can change your senses that they can receive. When he's pleased with you, you can receive sound. You can hear the sound of the Vedas and be transformed. You can see objects that apparently are material, but your eyes can be changed by the will of the Lord so that you actually see the Lord in the form of the deity. So that's the will of the Lord, though. He has to make that. He gives the power. He gives it both ways. He gives it to see material things and spiritual things. So that's the answer. Now, Rupa Goswami, I want to just quote one verse from Rupa Goswami, and then maybe we could have some discussion. I'd like to hear from all of you as well. But when he gives the definition of sadhana, it's a great verse to memorize because we're doing sadhana, practice. He's Abhideya Acharya, Rupa Goswami. So he is actually the Acharya of giving us the method to perform bhakti. And he gives a definition of sadhana. So this verse should really be memorized because whatever we do, when we hear, when we chant, when we're even doing, service, physical service, he gives, it's a very nice verse to look at to see what is sadhana. There's some interesting things there that help us understand what should I bring to my sadhana. So he says, Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya. So kriti means the senses. Also the senses includes the mind. Senses, mind. So mind, body, words. You're using everything you have, just like this verse that we were discussing. This answer by Shukadeva Goswami. You have senses, you have mind, you have intelligence. So using all that, sadhya, cultivating those. Sadhya means cultivating. Bhavet sadhya bhav. So this means by which bhava manifests. So you're cultivating, you're using your senses, your mind, and why? So that bhava can manifest You're doing these things that have been given by the devotees, the acharyas, hearing, chanting, doing service. So when you do sadhana, this is the goal, that bhava descends into your heart. Because as the rest of the verse says, okay, so kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhana bida. So just that, using all your senses, mind, intelligence, with the intention of bhava coming into you, that is called sadhana. Sadhana bida. That is called sadhana. Now, what is that bhava? What is that bhava? It's because you might think that, well, if I use my senses, eventually I'm going to create bhava. I'm going to get a little more advanced, and finally I will produce, by my action, by my service, I'm going to create bhava. Finally, I'll have bhava. But no, he says, nitya siddhasya bhavasya. Bhava is an eternally perfect energy of the Lord, and it comes down into you. Prakatyam hridhi sadyata. It comes into the heart, and then you've attained the goal. So this is so nice, because it means when we're doing service, when we're hearing, we're chanting, we have to realize that I can't do bhakti. I can't do bhakti. But I'm preparing myself, and I'm longing that Krishna, when he's pleased, then while I'm chanting, while I'm hearing, he can send down this energy, bhava, nitya siddha. It's an eternally perfect energy, it's not of the material world, into my heart. So all I can do is long. All I can do is desire and want. But I can't pick up my bead and say, now I'm going to chant the holy name. Now my tongue is going to now cause Krishna to come. Your tongue can't cause Krishna to come, but Krishna comes and dances on your tongue when your tongue is just a ready platform for that. Now, which means you have to be attentive, you have to have a desire, but you can't make it happen. So sometimes we talk about bhakti, about doing bhakti, but you can't actually do bhakti. Bhakti is a divine energy of the Lord. And we do things that have been given to us. That way we're connected to a process. But really, it's just patiently waiting and serving with sincerity, with an attitude to serve. And then when the heart is prepared in that way, then this energy, the bhakti shakti, it's a shakti, it comes into the heart of the living being. So it's very generous when the acharyas say that the conditioned soul is doing bhakti. It's a generous way. It's a generous way of seeing bhakti, because you can't actually do it or perform it or decide to make it happen. You have to be active and do something, but you can never actually produce it yourself. Right? It's a subtle little thing to be aware of when you're chanting. Because somebody, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you should not pick up your beads like picking up the reins of a horse. But now I'll control the horse. You pick up your beads, now I'm going to chant. It's like you're controlling a horse or something like that. Kartritva abhiman. He says you can't chant, or you can't even hear with kartritva abhiman, with the conception that I'm the doer. If you have that conception, then you're not able to receive that grace coming from above. If you think I'm doing it, I'm doing bhakti, you can't receive bhakti. But if you think I'm so fallen, but this process has been given, the activities are perfect, everything is there, but it's just Krishna, only by your grace can something actually change me and move me. So therefore, the example sometimes given is the chataka bird. This is a nice image. Maharaj told me, he gave me the name Ghanashyam Das. Ghanashyam means the dark cloud. Krishna's complexion is like a dark cloud. So he said, Ghanashyam Das means that you should be chataka, the chataka bird. The chataka bird will only take water that drops from the rain cloud. So even though water is available other places, so many of the other birds, they're getting water. They think chataka is a fool because they're getting water from lakes and rivers, and everyone is getting satisfied. But the chataka has made a vow that I'm not going to take water from down here, from the earth. But when I see a dark cloud forming, then he perches himself on top of a tree. He gets in the right position. Now think of sadhana here. This is the perfect image for sadhana, because he can't give himself that drop, but he can put himself in the right environment. He goes in the tree branch, and he lifts up his head and he opens his mouth, because if the drop comes and the mouth is closed, what's the point? So chanting, think of this image when you're chanting. You're just a bird, desperate, needing. You've taken a vow, only Krishna's grace, and you open your mouth. You're chanting, so it seems like you're producing Krishna's name, but it's empty unless Krishna appears on the tongue through his name. So you're just like a bird, open mouth, hoping, and sometimes nothing comes. And the Chataka bird doesn't lose his patience and become depressed. He just said, okay, it's not the time, he goes away. Then it's a bright sky, sun is out, no question of clouds. But then another day comes and a cloud forms. The Chataka repeats, goes back to the tree, opens mouth, longing, just one drop from this cloud. That's all I need. And then sometimes, instead of the rain, he gets a thunderbolt. Ranath Maharaj says, instead of getting the rain, he sometimes gets a thunderbolt right on his head. Doesn't come. Okay, it's not the time. But he goes back, sadhana. He goes back, do it again, chant again the next day. Again, back, a dark cloud comes on the tree branch, open mouth. And then finally, one day, one drop comes. And he was prepared for it. His mouth was open. He was attentive. He was waiting. Because he was in that state, one drop comes and completely satisfies, fulfills all the longings and desires of his heart. Completely melts his heart. So, the Chataka bird is a nice image to have when we think of sadhana. And sadhana means now this energy has come into you, the Bhakti Shakti. Bhakti is a goddess, Bhakti Devi. She has her own will, and when she's pleased, also she can come into you. And things actually happen when she enters your being. This is amazing. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this. That first, we have pran, right? So this verse also was mentioning pran. But it's material pran. We have these different airs in the body, 5 kinds of pran in the body. And they make everything else possible. The fact that you can move and your blood is flowing and you're breathing, even your thoughts, all of this is made possible by pran, by some movement that's there within space. Because even your subtle body has space, and there's a movement where things take place. So the whole body is moving by the grace of this pran that Krishna has given us. So bhakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he calls bhakti in one place aprakita pran. It is supernatural pran, because it's an energy of the Lord. And so he says, when it first comes into you, it enters your pran, bhakti shakti. It enters the pran and begins to move you. So now you're being moved by a different energy, no longer the material energy. And then it enters your senses. So there's actually like a kram, there's a sequence. First into the pran, then into the senses, then into the mind. It enters your mind. So this higher energy is starting to take over your whole being. And it's transforming your subtle body. We're actually spiritualizing our material being, this material self. Because the whole self right now is of the material energy. The physical body, of course, we know, but also the pran body, the mental body. All these different sheaths, these different bodies that we have, physical, and there's the energetic body, pran body. And the mental, it's also called the mental vehicle, mental body. And then the intellectual, the buddhi, all these things. It's all material. But the Atma is the one spiritual particle in the heart. The one spiritual part and parcel of Krishna, the servant. It's there, it's the Atma there in the core, in the region of the heart. So, when this energy of bhakti comes into us, it's actually transforming even our physical body. It's becoming spiritualized. And when it becomes more complete. So, the nice point that's made by our acharyas is that when this Shakti gets into you, and you're still doing enjoying material sense gratification, and then you go back to your bhakti, and then you back to the material world. He says your body at that point is actually half and half. It's material. It's still a material body, but the spiritual energy's got in. It's starting to make a transformation in you as well. So what has to happen is the one has to just begin. You have to become more directed at that point. You're tasting some grace, some mercy has come to you, some feeling at times, right, have come into you. That means something is really changing. This is nice because it shows how concrete this all is. Some people are interested in like these different yogas, Raja Yoga, because they're hearing about chakras and all these things happen with your body, and this opens up. And for some people, they're attracted because it seems like, wow, this is very concrete. Even I can feel things. So the path of bhakti is like that too. It's not just abstract, some fairy thing. I think I have love, or this bhakti, but actually there'll be transformations, even to your physical body becoming spiritual. So once we become very fixed and devoted, then the material elements in the body begin to decrease, and the spiritual begins to just pervade everything and take over. And that's why I said a pure devotee, actually, the body is spiritual. It's actually spiritual. So the question we may wonder, then why does it still get old and still die? You know, if it's spiritual, shouldn't it just be glowing? But imagine, see, so it's explained by Rupa Goswami. The fact that the body appears to still be material and go through changes and even die is to protect the confidentiality of this process from people who are not qualified to experience it. It protects the confidentiality of it. Because imagine if devotees, pure devotees, they're glowing, walking around glowing, what would happen in this world? It'd just be crazy. You know, the news would come and this would be some big scam, or people would just start going crazy. You can't do something like that. It has to look as if it's still a material body and they're just an ordinary person, just so that people in general don't actually see the mystery here in the secret, because it's a secret. It's a very special process that when the Bhakti Shakti comes into you, you're completely changing. You're completely transforming. So I'm sharing all this because it's very related to the question and the answer, Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit. Because Krishna is saying that even to see material things, I've empowered you, I've given you senses, and those senses I can also change when you become a devotee, when you're in the path of liberation, of love of God. Then he also can allow these senses to transform, where your eyes can always see the Lord. You're always here. Any sound that you hear, any word that you hear is the name of God, the Vedanta Sutra says. Every word. And every form you see is a form of Paramatma. So whatever you see, whatever you hear, the senses can be, when they're spiritualized in this way, you just see nothing but Shyam Sundar Krishna. And it actually happens, even physically. So how does it happen? By Krishna's grace, when he's pleased. So as we go on doing what we're doing, all these things are actually possible. Okay, let's see here. Yes, oh my God, I didn't give 15 minutes, but we have a few moments for any reflections or thoughts or comments, questions.
So the Bhagavatam says that to preserve the confidentiality, where is it mentioned?
Yeah, I wrote it down so that just in case.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Where is this statement by Rupa Goswami, I think you said?
Rupa Goswami, Vishnu
Thank you.
also in some Bhagavatam purports, he gets into this topic. Because I had an interest that suddenly awakened for this thing, I did a little research. And just to get a little bit of an idea of how Bhakti Shakti actually comes, where it goes first, what it does. And of course, when it mixes with the material elements, he also describes like the sense of touch and the Bhakti Shakti, and your hair stand on end. You know, there are physically, there'll be symptoms also, the different ecstatic symptoms that come. But I can get the reference. I thought I brought the paper, but I didn't take that piece of paper. But I did write everything down just so that it's there. People know I'm not just here making up a bunch of interesting things.
Come with question. Just, you mentioned two verses. First one was at the beginning, glorifying Bhagavatam. I don't know, hopefully you wrote that down.
Yeah, that's from Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, where he quotes that verse.
Okay. And then the second verse you were quoting about bhakti.
Yeah.
And where is that? You said it's Rupa Goswami. Where is that
That's
from?
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, his definition of sadhana.
Definition of sadhana. Yeah.
Definition of sadhana. Because he uses bhava, the descent of bhava.
So it's in the bhava section.
It's in the second chapter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu when it describes sadhana bhakti.
Okay.
Yeah, he first gives the definition of sadhana. He says bhakti means three things. There's sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. And then he gives a definition for sadhana bhakti. What does sadhana mean, first of all? He describes what is bhakti. That's the other thing. Bhakti is the combination of the samvit shakti and the haladini shakti of the Lord. So samvit shakti, when bhakti comes into you, samvit reveals Krishna. Krishna becomes known by that potency. It's the knowledge potency. So the knowledge of what? The knowledge of Krishna becomes real. You see Krishna. And then haladini, he gives you the love, enters your heart, the love of service, the love of Krishna. So bhakti has both those energies. So when the bhakti shakti comes, then you know Krishna, you see Krishna, and you love Krishna. You get to love Krishna. And it has to be you have to continue to cultivate and continue on, still sadhana, even when that happens. Yeah, 10 seconds.
Why Vedas cannot describe Krishna? That's the chakra actually.
Say again?
Why Vedas cannot describe Krishna spiritually?
Why they don't describe? Why can't they describe it?
Mm.
Well, they do. They do. The Vedas themselves, you mean like the four Vedas?
Yeah, no, it's in the today.
Krishna's going to reveal himself now. Praise Ghanashyam Prabhu ki jai.
Bhagavatam ki jai. Disciples ki jai.
Govindam Yeah. Pure devotional service. I bow down to His lotus feet, great awe and reverence. His grace work across the ocean of material suffering, and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish to have my consciousness purified by the words and names of His lotus. Passion to the lotus feet, the perfection of desires. He opens my darkened eyes, fills my heart. My ignorance is destroyed. Vedic scriptures sing of His character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor, Lord of master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful and good. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread on all the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Jai.
Thank you, Janitai Prabhu.
Haribol.
Welcome to the Afterglow, dear devotees. We have Adipusha Prabhu and Bhima Prabhu. Gail, would you like to ask your question? Min has a hand up. Min, would you like to speak?
Yeah, thank you. That was such a great class. I have a question about, as I was hearing him, I was reminded, I was thinking about the prayer offered by Vitrasura, and it made me think that maybe the path of bhakti and our sadhana is really changing our identity, or maybe recovering our true identity and our relationship with Krishna, and this Shakti that we receive from God, that we can't really get it. We could only receive it. I'm just wondering, I'm having a hard time articulating myself here, but I'm wondering, I just feel like I'm so entrenched in my senses and my identification with my senses that it's so difficult to receive God's mercy in my practice, or even when especially when I'm just going about my day during the day, that I just go back straight to identifying with my material identity and my senses. So I guess I just want to ask, like, how can we receive God's mercy, God's love, like, when we're not actually reading Bhagavatam or eating prasadam, but just, doing just regular daily chores and responsibilities.
I know all about chores.
Thank you. Bhima Prabhu knew the answer before you even finished your question. Go ahead, Bhima.
Tell me, Haribo. Yeah, man, it is all about chores. You got to do stuff. Love is an action verb, right? It requires action. But this isn't a procedure. And we kind of get lost in all these Sanskrit transliterations of things that are common sense to us. Somebody tells you that there's somebody really special that actually loves you and will be the best friend and confidant you could ever have. What do? You go about the process of getting to know them. You do it shyly at first from afar. You make your presence, you go to the spiritual master and you say, hey, yeah, I would like to be introduced to Krishna. So these things, and then of course, by virtue of scripture and sadhana, one is introduced, but ultimately it's a very simple, not that I've got anything of this mastered, but but ultimately I've come to find that the simple method is the way. Presence, not procedure, but presence. That is, whether you're in the Bhagavatam class or in the temple or walking the streets of New York or in the woods or dealing with a devotee or dealing with a horse. And sometimes the horse is the smarter one. The thing is to just remember that you're in this. You have to have this vision that you're in this play. There's not a single cell in your body that you created. There's not a single plant that we mankind have created. This has all been put here. We're in this material theater. And as far as receiving this bhakti shakti, it's a goddess. See, all these things separate us. Oh, it's a goddess. It's far away, bhakti shakti, and it's really not. It's just simply, a little boy finds out, or a little girl finds out this cute, really cute little boy likes her, and so she glances at him every once in a while in the playground, and then now she's thinking of him, and then now she's writing poetry, and one time she gets a picture from the yearbook and she puts it on it. It's natural. All of this is natural to us. So just go natural and just be present. And it is, and then you'll find that all that you do becomes devotional service. All that you do, even though you can't make heads or tails on how it's going to turn out to be devotional service, it's Krishna that is the rudder here. Krishna is the one who is going to guide you, and it's going to be Krishna is the one whom you are guided to. All you have to do is be present. Hare Krishna.
Seeing Bhima Prabhu is miles away from us physically, geographically, but look how connected he is. Look how much service he's doing by taking in Srimad Bhagavatam, by answering questions, by interjecting, by cracking jokes, by showing his farm and horses, by giving all these wonderful examples about flowers and trees and animals.
It's interesting to me how Bhima, we can tell that he's very erudite and intelligent and intellectual.
He's a poet.
But somehow,
He's Kaviraj.
But he's somehow
he's scooping up poop, but he's a poet.
Yeah, somehow his heart is connected to all that. That's really interesting for me to really witness, because I like reading and I'm trying to learn about Krishna more and more, but I feel like maybe I'm missing something here.
Page by page, class by class, little by little, poco a poco, he will come.
Yeah, you're not on top of the mountain until you take that first step, and then just keep going upward. It's going to be, if it's a struggle, then you know you're going in the right direction. If it becomes easy, then you know you're going in the wrong direction. Complacency. There's nothing worse. Either just tell Krishna, hey man, leave me alone. I want to really be the king here in this material world. That's what I do. I say, just come on, man. I came down here for a reason. Can you get off my back? Type of thing. But you take that step by step, and I didn't want to say this, but I just feel like it dawned on me today that if you really want to have some sped up advancement, some leapfrog, pray to Krishna to send a trial, a test, a calamity your way, and then put the yoke on your shoulders. Yoga comes yoke. The word yoke to a horse to pull. This is yoga comes from the same etymology. Okay, so it means to hook up and to do work and to pull. So put the yoke on and get through that calamity, get through that struggle. Ask Krishna to give you something, some lesson to be learned. And these lessons are never easy. No matter how much you can know the Sanskrit and repeat them and chant them over and over again, until you live it, until you experience it, You won't be able to help others, and you won't be able to help yourself. Words don't do it. You gotta be willing to be courageous enough to have faith enough that whatever Krishna sends your way, that you don't flinch, you don't step out of the way of, oh, Prabhu, I can't do that, or oh, I'm not going to handle this today. That I'm just going to go back to what I'm conditioned to do, which is to run and hide. But then if you face the calamity or the struggle straight on, once you get through to the other side, you just made huge progress up that mountain. And that's what it is, step by step. That's what faith is. If I'm heading upward, then I'm going to get that peak. I'm going to get to that peak.
I'm so scared of hardship or like scary situations because I feel like I've experienced so much of it before coming to Krishna consciousness. I'm trying to follow Prabhupada's instruction of just follow by hearing, but maybe that won't work for me.
No, I'm sorry. If you've been through things, then mind them. Do the work, as they say nowadays. Do the work, right? You mind them. You don't avoid them. There's no spiritual bypass here. Krishna wants you to face your demons. Krishna wants you to face your trauma, not cover it up. You have to face your trauma. You have to deal with it philosophically, objectively, to say, well, this is the material world. Psh, I'm sorry, shit happens. You know, trees are dead in the woods, and then there's trees, little trees growing. It's happening. People are dead in the streets, as we well know, for no damn reason, and people are being born. You know, so all this stuff is happening, and we have to work our way through it and rise and transcend. And it's not by hiding. It's not, but Radhanath Swami said, and especially with material desires, find out who you are. Find out what you really desire, and then go for it, and just remember Krishna, and Krishna will guide your boat. You know an island that is your desire, shoot for it. Turn your sails. Krishna will give you the wind, or he'll send you a storm. And just realize that that's Krishna at all turns. It's always Krishna you're dealing with. That's
So
how you remember Krishna.
I want to ask, you said be present. Well, that is exactly the issue, that I can't remember Krishna throughout my chores. And if grace is that something we receive, not grab, how do you know what I mean? Like it goes out of
What
my
are
mind.
you remembering? What are you remembering?
Um,
What's in the way?
what I have to cook for dinner? I don't know.
Then what do I have to cook for dinner for Krishna? Okay. Oh, I gotta cook something. It's like, what will Krishna enjoy? You know, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be, Indian. Whatever you cook, sacrifices you perform, whatever you do, do it for me. Krishna wants to be there. You ever notice those sprinters in the Olympics or even fighters, when they, at the end of the race and they win, they go to their knees and then they look to the sky and they put their hands in the sky, because some of those sprinters, some of those athletes, when they were training, they were calling upon God to assist them. Now that may be fruitive, but what you don't think a father enjoys the success of a child? The father enjoys that success more than his success. So you don't think God enjoys that the sprinter won the race because the sprinter trained the hardest and remembered him, and he put a little gust of wind at their behind and got them over at 0.001. I'm mentioning this because I was watching sprinting today. So I was, and of course, the winner, gold medalist, got down on her knees and put her hands to the sky, just very briefly, giving thanks. These are all the things that you can do. Just do it, do it, do it. And then you won't have to, anything you do, having to remember dinner, or even having to remember past trauma. What was I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to let go? That's a big one. What am I supposed to let go? Who am I supposed to forgive? And then, of course, you don't forget, because you don't want to go back there. You don't want to go that path. But you certainly don't want to repeat it. But everything you do, look at what I do. I spend hours a day just cleaning up after the horses. How am I supposed to see this in Krishna's service? I see it in Krishna's service because I'm listening to Bhagavatam Class, or I've got my headphones on. I'm listening to Bhagavad Gita. I'm listening to devotional music. not always. So all those, you get chances every second of the day. You have a chance to do devotional service by being present with Krishna in whatever you're doing. Anyways, I'm rambling on. I'm just trying to convince myself here, Min. Your questions are simply my questions, and I'm trying to make a desperate effort to answer them for myself. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you. I think maybe, yeah, I really like practical advices. So thank you.
The most practical verse in the Bhagavad Gita is Yad Karasya Yadashnasi Yad Juhashi Dadasya Yad Tapasya Sakuntya Tat Kushva Madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever austerity you perform, whatever you give away, do it as an offering to Krishna. This is what Bhima Prabhu was speaking without quoting that Shastra, Bhima Prabhu. I can't believe you didn't quote that verse. She says you're well versed, you're erudite. You said sprint, you said poop, you did quote Shastra.
I I I I left that open for you, Prabhu. I glorify
Thank you.
you in giving you a chance to correct me.
Thank you. Bhima Prabhu
I
is a
don't know.
Vaishnava. Yeah.
I'm the person who doesn't know Shastra. I only know from past pain. So you can take the hard road, or you can take the easy road.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Okay, I see Adipusha Prabhu is beaming with light of Bhagavatam. Would you like to speak? Adipusha Prabhu?
Wonderful class complete. I have nothing to add. All glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. All right. Where is Sammy? Sammy Long, please recite the mantra. You'll be the finisher. Sammy Long, check 1, check 2. Last call for Sammy. Okay, Karen.
Wait, I'm here. Sorry.
Go ahead,
I
Sammy.
found the buttons. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sammy. Thank you. Okay, Karen, where is Isaiah? Is he around? Isaiah, Hare Krishna. How are you?
Yes,
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Happy